Good morning, everybody. Many thanks for joining our webinar today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Richard Bates. I'm Sales Director for EBS, and we are electronic business systems. We've been established over 40 years, and we're a long-standing Sage partner. In fact, we've spent over 30 years reselling Sage 50 and 200 products in various forms. We've been partnered with Sicon for many years as well. And just a little bit about us, EBS as a company, we're based just outside of Birmingham near Spaghetti Junction. We've got a national reach and we specialise in typically retail, wholesale, distribution and manufacturing solutions. But added to that, we've got multiple different add-ons and products that can enhance Sage 200, like today's webinar, which is cash flow. So we're joined today with Ben from Sicon, who's going to do a quick overview of the product. And without further delay, I'll pass you over to Ben.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Richard. So I'm Ben Nichols, the business partner account manager at Sicon. A bit of a tongue twister there. So Sicon's been developing additional functionality for Sage 200 for over 20 years, actually. We just focus on Sage 200. We've got numerous different modules that are completely integrated into the Sage 200 platform. But today we're going to actually cover the cash flow module, its benefits, how it works, and then we are going to open the floor for any questions. So again, today we're going to cover the cash flow module and its benefits, but it essentially sits within inside Sage 200. It's fully integrated with the Sage 200 financial ledgers and order processing modules. So you've got that single source of truth. You can design your cash flow format using your bank accounts, your sales and purchase invoices, sales and purchase orders, nominal, and also any ad hoc spending. So effectively, anything that's going on financially within your organization, you can start to actually model that using your cash flow forecast. Now, the reason why people tend to use the Sicon Cash Flow module itself is we actually have a drag and drop user interface. It allows you to adjust the income and expenditure without having to go back into each of the records. I'm sure there's quite a few of you that have had to kind of readjust things, or go into certain transactions, amend it to start to work out, okay, so what does our cash flow forecast look like over the coming months? You don't need to do that with this. We've got a single user interface which you can essentially drag and drop. It allows you to model your cash position at any given time. So the key benefits that we're really going to cover here are the real-time view of your cash position. So what we're not doing, and perhaps currently at the moment, and one of the things that we do speak to our customers about, is that they're pulling these static reports. What we actually do is we have a graphical user interface, which I'll show you in just a moment. It allows you to see the real-time view. So it's all real-time data. Everyone has access to it. That obviously you want to have access to it. We're using a real-time position to see kind of where you are. You can then model it from that. The other elements are, again, it's the drag and drop format. So what we find is it's considerably less time consuming. So you can simply drag and drop perhaps different purchase orders, sales orders, to really kind of work out where you are as a business and help you grow. And also the full integration gives you a single source of truth, which again is one of those things that's really, really important. We're not exporting information or taking it away from the Sage 200 system. We're simply using all of the data in its present format. And we can see kind of how we're doing as a business, where we can make improvements, and where do we focus our time. Now, as you can see on the screen, so we've got the Sicon website. So as I mentioned, we've been building these modules, the organization, for over 20 years. And actually one of the first modules we focused on was the cash flow, because we saw a really, really simple basic requirement that kind of wasn't being met inside Sage. So as I mentioned, we have multiple modules, but we are just going to focus on the cash flow element today. So all of this is public facing, so you guys are more than welcome to go into the website. We've got our help and user guides. We've also got the information about the functionality, how it could perhaps benefit your organization. Right, so now I'm going to go into Sage itself. Now, this is probably a screen that all of you are familiar with. What we have on the left-hand side again is we've got all of our Sicon modules turned on. So this may look slightly different to how it is for you at the moment. But what we're going to do is we're going to go into the cash flow module, and it will simply just be on the left-hand side. And this is, I think, where it comes down to the, the power of integration. You're not having to go into a different platform. You're not having to access it in a different way as you would normal functionality within Sage 200. You simply click on the left-hand column. We can enter the cash flow forecast. Now, what I'm going to do is just show you how it works, how it's integrated, and actually the benefits of creating different views. So if we just click on the cash flow forecast, we go into settings, and we have the ability to select a cash flow set. So this is just demo data at the moment, but we've got a number of different cash flows that we've got here. And the reason for that is that you can select different data sets to start to kind of model your particular cash flow. So as an example, one of our customers uses it for quarterly forecasting, or perhaps they want to include or exclude perhaps bad debts. It allows different people within the organization to view the information that's most relevant to them, and again have that real-time view. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at the default forecast. But before we do that, I'm going to show you how it's actually set up. Uh, so once it's set up, and obviously our partners at EBS will be able to help you do this, it's a relatively simple process. So we've simply just got the basic settings, which allows us to, forecast from specific dates. We've also got, kind of the coloring of certain data. The main thing is just making sure that it works for you guys. And it's a relatively simple process, but EBS has obviously been trained with numerous implementations, and we'll be able to help you with that. The next thing to do is actually, if we select a default forecast to give you an overview of what this looks like, what we're then given is our cash flow structure. So on the left-hand side here, we've got different elements that we're going to see within a cash flow forecast. So we've got those such as our opening balance. We've got our different bank accounts, for example. We've got our sales, purchases. And then, for example, if you're a company that works within the construction industry, we've got things like applications and also retentions. Again, depending on how, what you wanted to view, you don't need a consultant or an expert to configure this. You can simply do it yourself. So we can either create a new selection if there's something else you wanted to add within that, and I'll show you how that works in just a moment, or you can simply remove those that actually aren't applicable. So for example, we could simply remove applications, retentions, if that's not something that you wanted to actually view. So what we're going to do is we're going to say call a new cash flow set EBS webinar. So and we're going to save that one. Brilliant. So we've now got two different sets. So if we go into our first one, we're going to go into our webinar. Essentially what we're going to say is okay, so by default, we've got everything selected. I'm going to remove this and this because this isn't applicable to me. I'm then going to view all of the different information and make sure that, okay, right, this is relevant and I want to be viewing this when I'm looking at the forecast. So again, everything is customizable and you can configure it yourself. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out of here. I'm going to look at the cash flow forecast itself. So what we have here at the top is we've got our specific cash flow set. So this is the one that we've created ourselves. Again, you can customize that. We've selected a period of 6 months. You can select that with its days, weeks, months, again, depending on how you want to use it. For example, we've got bad debts included, and also the level of detail. So usually we preset this to item. What we find is it gives you a kind of a complete overview at a glance, but you can actually drill down into perhaps account any particular documents. So to give you an overview of how this works, it's very, very similar to kind of a live Excel format. So there's a fairly flat learning curve there. So what we have is we've got an overview of our sales. We've got our balances, overdue. We've got it by month because we've selected that at the top. And what this allows us to do is to kind of drill down into these particular ones. So what we're saying is that in October 2021, we are expecting sales of 2.936 million. We can then actually drill down. So rather than you having to go into the individual transactions within Sage, within the obviously the cash flow screen, we can then start to drill down. Okay, so where are these actually coming from? And we can start to look into, okay, are these singular transactions? Are these multiple? And the benefit really here is that you're not having to dig around Sage to find out kind of where something's coming from. It allows you to simply drag and drop a particular transaction to change the date. So it completely gives you control and allows you to do it really quickly and efficiently. Brilliant. So what we're going to do now, so we've got an overview of your sales, your purchases. We're now going to come out of the cash flow itself, and I'm going to show you exactly how it would work. If we were to actually sell something, but forecast a date for let's have a look at perhaps December. So what we're going to do is we're going to our sales ledger. We are going to pick our customer, which is Euro trading, and we're going to select a new sales order. I've got everything turned on, so I just need to remove this. We've got all the Sicon modules, which will give me real-time notifications about actions that I need to take. So, okay, let's just take obviously Euro trading. I'm going to select an item. Let's just actually select a quantity there. We then want to do is we then want to select the forecast date. So we can select this for perhaps December. And what I'm going to do is we've actually got a zero unit price. I actually may want to actually amend that, so we can actually start to view how that would look like in a sales forecast. So the key thing here is that we've got our, we have a sale. We're saying that the forecast date is the 1st of December. Again, this is perhaps, where things like CRM or, sales forecasting is going to become quite important. We're going to input the particular stock item. We can also use things like free text slides as well. So you don't have to use stock items, and we're going to save that. Let's put a number of 12. Brilliant. 5530 is a number, so we want to remember that. I'm going to say no. Great. So now we've simply entered a sales order. We're now going to go back into our cash flow forecast. We are going to select our default forecast, or it could be a custom one. The custom views are simply just things that it's exactly the same data. We're not using different data sets. It's simply just a format to view the data in itself. So what we now have, we've entered our sales order. Previously, this was at 0. What we're now going to have is we are now going to be able to click through. We're going to look at the sales orders, and we can now actually view the particular sales order that we've now inputted. So in real time, there's no syncing, there's no additional configuration. Everything happens in real time. So the minute that something's updated, all we're able to then do is be able to go back into the cash flow forecast, and we can then view exactly how that impacts things. So the key real benefit here is that all the data is in one place. You've got a real-time view of your cash position. You can simply drag and drop the figures depending on, if there's a particular error, you want to kind of remodel kind of your cash forecast, and you can do that easily. There's no having to go backwards and forwards. So again, it's real kind of ease of use, but allows you to focus on growing your company as opposed to some more of like the basic admin tasks of data input. Right, so that was a very, very brief overview. I think probably some of the benefits are quite clear. It really is a case of real-time view, real-time data. It's a relatively, it's not a particularly complex module, but it does, it's particularly quite powerful. So we've got some really successful customers that use this on a daily basis to see where they need to focus their time, where they can make improvements. So yeah, more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. Also, please feel free to go onto our website, which is obviously sicon.co.uk. Um, Everything is available within that, so you can look at the cash flow, how it works, how it may benefit your organisation. So whilst you're on there, feel free to look at some of the other modules as well. Brilliant.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you ever so much, Ben. Likewise, just to cover that again, is any questions that you may have, feel free to reach out to ourselves or your account manager at EBS. Likewise, I know Sicon would be more than happy to do a more in-depth demo if required to discuss your exact requirements. But I've got no questions at the moment. I've not seen any come through. Obviously, if there are, feel free to drop us an email or give us a call. But just one last thank you to you, Ben, for taking the time today to do the webinar.
You're more than welcome. Thanks, Phil.
Thanks, everybody.